All right, I'm going to get started because I don't know if there's a class afterwards, and there's a lot of different commitments we're going to go through. So whoever's joining can still learn because we're going to go through different people. So thanks for coming. I'm excited about this. Started looking at this and I'm like, this is very interesting because you guys should really know what to look for. Because I had someone reach out to me and he was like, oh my God, there's so many outstanding commitments. Are they doing their job? I'm like, yeah, actually, a lot of those commitments or this title and stuff that we have to do. So I wanted to go over what you guys should be looking at and what you guys should not be alarmed at and what you should maybe be alarmed at if it's still on there. Just so you guys can be aware, so you know things are going smoothly and that your buyers are doing their part. So I'm going to start with a couple preliminary commitments. So I'm going to start with one. This is a recent loan I have, and this is a preliminary. When I say preliminary, it's because if you've worked with me, we go right to underwriting within 48 hours. The loan is approved up front by an underwriter. I know some of that doesn't mean much to you guys, but to me it does because it's already been reviewed. It's not waiting weeks. So when we have that in movement, we can give a preliminary commitment, which basically shows you that they're approved up front by an underwriter. So when we get the appraisal, then we have it updated. So let's start with, I'm not going to go through all this stuff because I don't want to get into people's personal information. At the top, it's always going to say the type of loan. So you might want to check that to make sure that lender didn't change loans, because people are changing loans without letting people know. It's always going to have the rate. Sometimes it's locked, sometimes it's not, sales price and loan amount. So that's always the top. And of course, the loan name and person. But what we get down to is down here. So purchase price, okay, here. So it's got categories. You'll see it's broken down: property, assets, credit, and income. So anybody who has any questions, this is an open forum. If you see anything, I'm going to go down little by little. We're going to go through different commitments. But if there's any questions or comments, I just want everybody to, be able to speak freely, okay?
Is there anything you can show us besides the list and
I
like
was
the
just
actual?
gonna say, all we see is a list.
We don't see.
Oh, you don't see the list? Oh, you don't see
We
the,
see the-
I just opened?
we see
Hold
the-
on.
We see the list, we don't see the document.
Yeah.
No, hold on a
I
second.
realize that you can't show us personal information. Maybe you could just scroll so that we don't see that on your screen.
No, I did. I just don't know why it's not showing.
Silly goose.
Hold
It's
on a second.
showing tiny over on the right-hand side.
Hold on. About now.
Nope.
What about now?
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Okay, so I'm scrolling, see the top, I'm gonna scroll up.
Yep.
Scroll down, see you, purchase price $399.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not very good at sharing screens, even though I'm tech savvy. Okay. Categories: property, assets, credit, and income. So we're gonna talk about those individual categories. Okay, so first of all, property, it's always going to say title search verifying the property. Obviously, you guys know we have to have title. So if that is on there, that means it has not been done yet. Obviously, it's not going to be done right away, but we have to put it on the commitment that we have to verify the property is free of legal. So that's going to be on every commitment from the very beginning. So this is what I told you. This is a preliminary. I think the one I have for the same buyer might have it off of it, but when we have title, then that will not be on there anymore. So anything that's on shows it has not been done yet. Doesn't mean it's not in process, but it's definitely has not been completed. Okay, so that's going to be on everyone under property. Then we have assets. So it's always going to say applicable. Receipt of supplemental documentation verifying access, stability, and validity of assets. So this is the basic stuff that basically says what we need as assets and what we're missing. So for instance, this one says updated bank statements covering 2 months. I know most of you should know that we always ask for the most recent 2 months. Now, a lot of you know that bank statements don't always run. They go for the month and they go mid-month. So let's say I have a buyer who his October statement is October 15th, but he doesn't have October 15th yet. So I had to get his September. Okay, so this might be here because I don't have his current, but I'll get it as soon as next week comes. So again, if it's on there, it doesn't mean they didn't supply us with 2 months. It's just we need the most recent 2 months. So in this case, she did not have that last month because it wasn't available. So what I do is I have to submit the most recent 2 months And then I put a note to the underwriter that the statement is ending October 15th and we'll have it. So if this is on here, don't be alarmed. It just means that we might be missing one of a current one, which is very common. Does that make sense, everyone?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Evidence of the debit paid appraisal fees and contract deposits clearing. Very typical. I'm sure you guys know when you guys send me an END, we of course take it, but we also have to see that it's cleared the account of the buyer in order to apply it toward their closing costs. And then of course, if they pay for the appraisal. So again, this is all if applicable, but we will need this stuff. This is all typical stuff every buyer will have. And then at the bottom, so then here, BOA, that's Bank of America. It will list the Bank of America and source of explanation for non-payroll deposits. Do you guys know what, any of you guys know what it means by non-payroll, meaning what are they looking for?
You're looking for where any source of money has come from outside of your job.
Right. So if it's under, every loan is different. So the underwriter takes a calculation, goes by their pay, comes up, this one, it comes up as 14,970. They want to know where that came from. The hardest part, I think, of mortgages is bank statements. The government has come up with huge strict guidelines, which they should, because there's a lot of fraud. But it's gotten to the point where Zells, PayPal, if anyone is sending too many Zells to someone, PayPal's to the same person. I had a gentleman who literally said, I don't have child support. And then on his bank statements, I noticed $100 to this woman every Friday for 2 months. And I asked him, he said, no, I just give it to her, to help with my child. It's not required. So then the underwriter got a hold of it and did not like it. And it turns out he lied to me. So again, there was a court order and I had to count it as a debt. So all these Bank of America letter of explanation, these are things that I'm in charge of. Like, this is not something that if as an agent, I would reach out to your buyers. Now, if this is something on here on a more recent updated commitment, and you can see that they still haven't got it in, feel free to reach out to me if I'm your lender and say, hey, how are they doing? Are they getting this stuff to you? Because I'll tell you the truth. And I have told people that, and I'm always telling my agents, hey, we're having trouble getting stuff. Can you help me out here? Because it's a team effort. So if I'm not getting the stuff, I'm going to let you guys know, because maybe you guys can help push them a little bit. Okay.
Maria, how receptive are you to listing agents? Because contractually in the contract, it states that we as listing agents can freely reach out to the lenders to get updates on the loan. And I've had conversations with some lenders that are definitely not interested in talking to me. And they keep saying, well, I need buyer's permission. You actually don't. So if I'm a listing agent calling you because I got a commitment and there's some questions that I have, how receptive are you to wanting to talk to me as a listing agent, not party to the deal?
Number one, it depends on who it is,
Okay.
right? If I know you, if you're from the office. Number two, have no problem talking to them. It depends on what conditions they're asking about. If it's detailed, I won't get into because I know more than they know. They might see something. I would absolutely have no problem reassuring them. Listen, this is outdated. This is what's sent, but now they just got some of these conditions in. I always try to reassure the listing agent that it's going smoothly, but I will not talk to them about the financials and
Of
give them
course not.
detail, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
I have no problem if you're a listing agent calling me, especially if I know you, because a lot of times I do deals with both agents in the office. So I'm all about being respectful, but also keeping it, keep it going and keeping it a team and making sure everybody knows we're all going well. But yeah, I've had listing agents ask me for an appraisal value. I'm not doing that. I'm like,
Right.
Came in no value. Here's your commitment. I'm not telling them that. But if they did ask things or, hey, are you having trouble? Is this going to close? I have no problem saying, we're doing great. We're on target. Don't worry. And reassuring them without giving too much information. Make sense?
Yeah, because I always want to know that the lender, I always call the lenders prior to going into contract to say, hey, we're going to be working together. You're going to hear from me as the listing agent trying to protect my seller. I want to know that the lender is on board, realizing that there's only so much you can tell me, but I love those coddling phone calls saying, yes, we're good. Buyer's fantastic. You know,
Yeah.
that I love that. So great. Thank you.
Well, I actually do that in the beginning too. So if you work with me, and a lot of agents know, is I ask the buyer's agent when they make an offer to copy me, because I want to respond to the listing agent, and I follow up with a call if I'm allowed to let them know they're fully approved. I give you my word. We're going right to underwriting, because to me, that makes the offer even stronger. Two, puts the listing agent at ease, and it's just a smooth transaction. And most agents do copy me so I can respond. And then sometimes I even do a phone call. Like, to me, reassuring that seller's agent, listing agent, that I have a qualified buyer and I'm giving you my word that this is going to be smooth. I'm going to give you my word, unless God forbid they lost their job, of course. But like, when I qualify someone, I do it, and I'm very, very, I'm a little OCD about it. Like, I will not give them a letter unless I have everything I need, including tax returns and stuff like that.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so as you see, the Bank of America here, bank statements, letter of explanation so they're, in this one, they're actually stating the amounts that they see. They want an explanation. They want to know, see, they even have, what is the HUD Valley for $100? That's a transfer. So they get very detailed, but this stuff is so easy to resolve with a buyer. Literally, we just get an explanation, or we might have to get in a statement. So when you see a lot of this, don't be alarmed. This is just basic bank statement stuff, that anything that the underwriter sees as a red flag, they're going to ask. And 9 times out of 10, all of this can be explained very easily by the buyer. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Recurring Zelle payments. See that? They want to know if they see recurring Zelle or PayPal or any type of cash app consistent to the same person more than 2 or 3 times, they're going to flag it, thinking it's a loan that it's not disclosed. I've had people take out loans and somehow didn't get on their credit, but it was a loan. And we found out through the bank statements. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of shady stuff, people taking out loans and stuff and not having it on their credit. As you can see, it said here, this is not listed on your credit report. Okay. And then down here, initial CD signed. So that is the first set of disclosures. You guys all know buyers get multiple set of disclosures, right? Okay. You have your first set, which is very estimated. I explained to my buyers in detail everything. I did as much as I could, buyer's commitment, transaction fee, HOA, everything I could possibly do, and let you know. But once we start getting fees, you'll get new disclosures as you go through. I do have agents calling me, asking me to go over these disclosures with them, buyer's agents, and I have no problem doing that. But just know the first set is very estimated, because they still have to shop for home insurance. They still have to get title. There's a lot to be done. Now, the next category, any questions so far? Because I know I'm going through it, but I wanted to go through many commitments.
Yeah. Hi, Maria. It's Evelyn. What's
Hi.
the average rate for the home insurance rate? Average going rate for the home insurance now? So just getting a kind of a sense of what's out there. And this is a question to you or everyone in the room.
Average rate, like average cost?
Yeah.
So I always tell people, number one, it's the type of property. So multifamily, investment, second home, it all takes into account. When I'm doing a primary residence, I usually I'm actually going higher these days because insurance has gone up. Anything at 250 and under, I do 100 and 125 a month. Anything 300 plus, I'm putting 150 to 2. I go high with my estimates, and 9 times out of 10, they come in low. It's very hard to answer that question, Evelyn, because they are so strict with insurance now that depends on people's credit score, prior claims, tickets, like you would not believe. They really bring people. So I go by what I see. If I see someone's got a really good credit, and I've asked them, hey, have you had any car accidents? I do ask a couple little questions just to give an idea, but it can range from $100 a month to $300 to $400 a month. But I would not say there's a going rate. It all depends on the buyer and the type of property. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So see credit and income, receipt of supplemental documentation, third party. This is the verification of employment. We have to verify employment. A lot of people get a little angry about this, that we have to notify their employers. I don't know why. It is it is required by law that we get a verification of employment. So this lender to obtain just means Movement Mortgage will be reaching out with a form to your lender, to your employment, and they have to fill out a form. And that is not allowed to be, what's the word I'm looking for? That is not allowed to go through the employer. So I've had the employers send my buyer the form to give to me. And I said, no, you're not allowed to do that. Like, it has to come straight from Movement back to Movement, because, you know, they could doctor it, right? Anybody could doctor a form. So this is just that. And then let's look at others. See this signed copy of credit explanation? See this one right here? This is a very popular one. In case your buyers like say anything to you. A credit explanation is when you have a credit report on the bottom, it shows all inquiries, discharges, anything. And it has a list of, have you opened credit, yes or no, and an explanation. I've had people have multiple issues with credit, and it's okay, but we need a letter of explanation. It's called an LOX. They have to fill this out. So when you see that, another thing not to be worried about. Most of the time, it's just them filling it out, and that's it. There's nothing to be concerned about. Down here, this is something all agents should be looking at. See how it says copy of fully executed purchase contract? See how it says third-party approvals, corrections to existing documentation? Okay, home insurance. This is the other that the agents should be looking at, because there's going to be possibly addendums. A lot of times people are not giving me an FHA amendatory clause. Every time I get an FHA, I always have to ask the agent to get one. It's signed by seller, buyer, and both agents. This will be there. This is a very important section for you guys to look at, because it will talk about addendums, contract. Sometimes I get a buyer's contract and they never sent me the fully executed, but I can submit the loan with the buyers, but I can't get an appraisal done without fully executed. So this is a very important area, you guys, that you should be looking at. That might have something that you might be responsible for, but it's also my job to make sure I'm reaching out to you guys to get it. Okay. So it's not really your responsibility to look at it and say, oh, I better get that to Maria. I'm going to be reaching out anyway, but this is definitely something that might give you a heads up that I might be reaching out. Okay. So the other is definitely a section to look at. Any questions or concerns so far? Okay. How we doing? Am I going too fast? Nope. Okay.
Good on my end.
All right. Home insurance policy. Another one. Perfect example. Multiple agents in this office recommend Blair, which is great, from Safeguard. And they're not reaching out to Blair. And I still have this outstanding condition. So I've had agents call me, how come this is still on here? And I'll be like, well, you know, they're going back and forth with Blair. They're shopping other companies. I don't know. But this could be something I have no problem. Someone wants to call me. I had an agent call me. Why is it still on here? I gave her to Blair and I said, well, they have the right to shop around. So they told me they're looking at multiple companies and comparing, and then they'll let me know. I cannot force them to use anyone, as you guys cannot force them to use me. When they get connected by an agent to someone, that's great. But you all know these buyers are very well aware of their rights. They're shopping me. They're shopping home insurance, car insurance. They're shopping all of it. The only thing they can't shop is you guys. When you guys have that buyer's commit, you're safe. But as a lender, even when I'm doing all this in the middle of a process, they're still shopping me. It's very frustrating. So that's something you can ask me about, or the lender about. Hey, did they get this? Did they finalize it? Are they good? Because maybe it was higher than the insurance that the lender put, and now it could be a debt to income. So that's something you might want to just keep an eye out. Okay. And then this expiration of the document based on the age and credit report. Does anybody know how long a credit report lasts legally?
No.
Come on, take a guess. How long does the credit report last? Anyone? Throw it out.
90 days.
3 months. Yeah.
4 months.
4 months.
Okay.
So it's when we have a long, like if someone had gotten pre-approved 2 months ago and now I have almost a 2-month closing for some reason, we got to be careful. And I got to give an update to the buyer. Listen, your credit report is going to expire before we close. We can either wait until it gets closer or we need to repull it. So that could be a problem. And I'll tell you why. if the credit report, if I've been working with a buyer for a few months and now we got a 30-day closing and that is on there and I do not pull credit yet because I've already have it, because some of these buyers, I'm not allowed to pull credit without their permission. So I had a buyer that I said, listen, it's expiring a week before closing. We really should do it now just to make sure everything's good. No. I don't want you pulling it. I want to wait for my scores to go up a little more. And my little heart was like, my red flag was like, something's going on here. And I said, okay, but the longer we wait, and then they let me pull it like a week or 10 days before, and they had opened up a new credit. So they hid it from me. It did not ruin their loan, but I did give them quite a lecture. I said, you should have been honest with me. This is now another $150 to go in your debt to income. Thank God you're going to be okay. But now your debt to income is maxed out and you almost lost the house. So that's frustrating on my part. So know if it's on there that it could expire and that could be a potential issue. But again, I am not allowed until it actually is like a week before closing. I'm not allowed to force them. So it's a little frustrating on my end because I know they don't want to repull it, but why not repull it if you got nothing to hide? You know what I mean? So that's that. So let's go to any questions on this?
No, this one looks pretty easy.
This was a pretty easy one, yeah. So let's go to, this is the same one, but this isn't updated. Let's go to this one. Let's see how good this one is. All right. All right, same thing, property, got all that. So property title, same stuff. Assets, again, if applicable, paid appraisal fees. This one's pretty easy too. Okay, provide current HOI. Okay, this one is a sale contingency. So we are having to get information on his current property because he decided he wasn't going to sell. So now he's carrying, I'm sorry, it's not a sale. It was a sale. And then he told me he's not selling it. Now I have to count it in his debt to income. So this credit and income now shows me that I have to count, because when it was a pending sale, I didn't have to worry about taxes and stuff. But now he has to get me all this information because he decided he wasn't selling and I have to do it, qualifying him for both mortgages. So this credit and income, if you see HOA dues, this means that we're just looking for documentation on a property to make sure that we have the accurate fees and expenses for that property. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see if there's anything down here. Other receipt of third party, home insurance. Okay, here. Other, underwriter, undisclosed debt. That's a good one. Undisclosed debt, which means we got a notification during the process that there was a new, like I always tell my buyers, don't open up new credit, don't co-sign, don't open up a store card. I don't care if it's 0% on your furniture. This undisclosed debt means that they opened up something, or they applied for something maybe within a month of doing the application with me and it just didn't come through. Nothing to be majorly concerned about. Most of the time people just maybe try to get a car or something and they didn't get it. This would be a form they would fill out that they did not open up new credit. But if they did, we have to determine it. And that's why it says needs to be reported and reviewed. So that is something you might want to call the lender about and say, hey, are we okay with this undisclosed debt? Did anything happen? Did they go buy a new car? I would be happy to reassure any person saying we're good, because I just had someone who literally just, they had, what's it called? Applied for a Chase card maybe a month before and it didn't come up. Also doesn't have a balance, but she does have an open card. So she just put, yes, no new debt, but I do have a card because there's no balance and that's why it didn't come up. So sometimes it just kind of crosses paths. And then we get notified, but you guys all know, right? Every lender gets notified during the process. We get notified if anybody opens up new credit. They don't.
As you should.
Well, many years ago before, I mean, it's always been like this. I've been doing this for 10 years, but people I've known in the business, they didn't know, they didn't have those algorithms where we could find out. So things like this happened in the past, but now there's no getting away with it. There's no getting away with it. And I tell people very clearly, because some reason people think if they co-sign for someone that is not their debt. It is absolutely their debt. Do you guys know the rule of how I can take a debt off that you co-signed for? Anybody know that rule?
Nope.
Okay, so let's say Kristen co-signed for her daughter's car payment a year and a half ago. And I'm like, Kristen, hey, you got a car payment here. You got several. Are these yours? No, one's my daughter. I co-signed. How long ago? A year and a half ago. Has she been paying it from her own account? Yes. If you can show me 12 months of payments, canceled checks or payments out of her daughter's checking account that you're not on, we can actually take off that loan as a debt to income, part of the debt to income. This is a huge thing because a lot of people pay, can't do it for credit cards, but installment loans, if they can prove 12 months of payment out of their own account, we can take it off as a debt, which
That's
really helps
interesting.
people's debts to income a lot. A lot of people co-sign for their kids, right? So if they're paying it on their own, we can take it off. So again, that's part of it too. And then this, again, it's just talking about the credit report and when it expires. Any questions on this one?
No.
Okay.
I have a
Um,
question for you, a general question just
Sure.
about your process, because I've always considered lenders to be the first line of defense against a buyer. Like I don't go out unless I know that we can afford what I'm showing, right? So as a lender, there's some things that obviously you wouldn't know until credit is pulled, which you probably do on the initial interview with them, discussing the importance of pulling credit to know exactly where they stand. How in depth is your initial interview with the buyer?
Well, I'm really in depth. Like some people think I'm a little over the top, but there's nothing over the top in my opinion when my name is on a pre-approval. Okay. My reputation is everything. I've had people tell me they're not giving me documents. They're not letting me pull credit. They're not getting a letter from me. So this is how I do it, Kristen. I tell people how the process works. I don't even do soft pulls, and I'll tell you why. I've done soft pulls. It's one score, not three. The law is we take the middle score. I had a guy, I agreed to do the soft pull. I think his score was like, I don't know, 590. And I said to him, I said, listen, if your other two scores are under 580, which it could be, because I don't know them, this is going to change your pre-approval. No, they're definitely not. I said, okay. So I agreed to do it once in my career. And then we went under contract. And then I had to pull his credit because you cannot submit a contract with the soft pull. And his scores were under 580. He didn't qualify anymore. That was it for me. I was done. I'm like, this is my reputation. And I tell people, so how I throw it on the buyer, Kristen, is listen, if you want to be pre-approved right, look in the right budget and your sales range, your payment. I make it about them. I say, if you really want me to do this right, I got to do a hard pull because we take all three scores in the middle. And a lot of people don't know that. If there's two buyers, we go by the middle score for you. And let's say your husband, Kristen, it's the lowest of the middles. So I've had buyers, just one last night. The husband had a 750, the wife had a 620. So I took her off actually and said, okay, we don't need her income. I'm taking her off. I'm going to do it without him because I try to make it the best application. So number one, I collect everything, every pay stub, every bank statement. Number two, I do a hard pull. A lot of lenders do the soft pull. I just don't think it's a good idea. And I'm just not okay with it. So I don't do that. I review their entire credit report with them. I also give them a copy because it's theirs. And I like to go over it because a lot of times people don't even know they have some stuff on their credit. And I've had people literally find out that a lease that they traded in gave them 3 late payments. So I go through the whole thing with them, Kristen. And then I ask them, besides this, have you recently opened anything? So I think I'm a little over the top with it, but this is why I don't have deals fall apart because I kind of play mini underwriter. And I tell them this is for your protection. I am pre-approving you solidly. So when you make that, I promise you your deal won't fall apart. And I'm giving my letter to an agent that I work with and my reputation, the whole process relies on me or lender, right? So I can honestly say, unfortunately, some other lenders don't. They're just handing out letters because I'm rescuing a lot of deals. I don't understand it because we're on commission only. So I don't want my deals falling apart. I want to get paid and I want my agents to get paid and I want everybody to be happy. But there are lenders. So I'm actually doing a class, how to bulletproof your transaction. I did it last year and I'm doing it again because of all these rescue deals of how to teach you guys what to ask lenders so your deals don't fall apart. That's coming next month. I will not be at the meeting Thursday because I'll be in training because you guys changed the date. But I told Karen, she's gonna let you know the class that's coming up. So that's the answer to your question, Kristen. I promise you, if you get a pre-approval from me, it will be solid. Oh, and I also go the extra route of two things, variable income. I get an income workbook of they have bonuses and stuff. I don't guess. I get end of year pay stubs. And the big one is we have an accounting department solely dedicated to the self-employed. So I've done this for a couple agents. We actually do underwritten pre-approvals for self-employment and variable income. The reason for that is we put an underwriter on it as if there's a contract because we want to make sure it's fully reviewed by an underwriter. Self-employment, people don't realize you guys are self-employed. You write off things. You have your gross and you have your net. So the net is what we go by, whereas a W-2, we go by gross. So as soon as someone tells me they're self-employed, I'm getting their tax returns, sending it to our accounting department where we do a free analysis. We have a department that is solely dedicated there. That's all they do is calculate self-employment income. I've done that several times for several agents in here, and I've given them underwritten pre-approvals. And we've gotten deal after deal with these because who wouldn't want an underwritten pre-approval, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like Movement, we really go out of our way to really make sure that everything's done properly from the beginning.
Cool.
Evelyn, did you have a question?
When it comes to clearing the HOAs, are you working with title to get that?
You're breaking up, but I think I heard your question. So HOA, if it's a condo, our condo department reaches out immediately. We do upfront condo approval as well. And then we reach out, if I see there's any issues that we can't get in touch with the HOA with title, then I'm reaching out. I've had to call HOA before if they're not answering. So I'm big on doing what I have to do and help my team out. But yes, title takes care of that. They get the resale certificate, all that stuff. So I'm not reaching out unless it's a condo, because a condo has to get HOA approved, whereas it's a townhouse or if it's a single family, we do not need obviously HOA approval because it's a different type of HOA. Does that make sense? I don't know where she went. Evelyn?
She was having some connection
Yeah,
issues.
yeah. So we do the upfront condo as well, which is great. If you guys are ever unsure about a property of what type, and if Movement does it, because sometimes I've had houses that says mobile home or some that said wasn't mobile home, but it was. I always can send that to my appraisal department and they can research it for me and say, hey, yeah, this is the type of property it is. Just so you know, I've done that a couple times because some of the listings on Zillow are not accurate. Okay, so let's get to this one, assets. Do you guys see the bank statements? Do you see the gift letter?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know how the gift letter works? Anyone?
To some degree,
Okay. What do you know?
that you have to have the person that's gifting sign a letter or write a letter saying that they're gifting the money.
Correct. So a gift letter has to be signed by both parties, the donor and the person who's receiving it. So if see here, provide LOX of any payments not listed on your credit, then the gift letter fully executed and signed. Again, this is my responsibility to make sure it gets done. My processor actually does it via DocuSign. She just makes it easy on the buyers. They just have to DocuSign it and that's it. And then of course we need proof of that. So that's where executed and signed, and then donor account and EMD, all that stuff. Again, we have to show that that gift went in their account. Where'd it come from? Well, we have a gift letter showing who gave it to them. So these aren't major issues for you guys to be concerned about either, but it might show you that, like, let's say this gift letter is on here and then we get an updated commitment, I don't know, a week or two before closing. Let's say this is the preliminary and you still see that gift letter. That's when you start asking questions. Hey, Maria, I noticed the gift letter still on there. Is everything okay? Hey, Maria, I noticed the gift amount changed. Is everything okay? I have no problem with my agents reaching out, especially if they're from this office, because, I want to reassure you, but this stuff is basic mortgage stuff, super easy. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. Let's go down to other, see if there's anything different. So again, home insurance. mortgage insurance certificate. So that is something, so you guys know what PMI is, right?
Mhm.
You guys know that it is a third party. It's not a movement or any lender fee. It is a third party. So when that is there, that means we're still looking for, another PMI quote. The reason we look for PMI quotes, I start from the very beginning, but sometimes we can find a cheaper one, or see how it says this debt to income. I don't remember which one, but I remember a couple of situations where the debt to income changed because of undisclosed debt, or something happened where the debt to income changed from when I first started the file, and now they're looking for a new PMI quote. So if you see underwriter, that's right here, mortgage insurance certificate, it's just saying that we're looking for a new quote. Nothing to be alarmed about, but it usually means that the LTV changed for some reason. And that could be many reasons. Okay. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. And then again, the credit report. All right. Let's see if I can look at another one. This might be a good one. Let's see this one.
I've seen some of these with information about IRS things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can't find one that has one. You see
Yeah.
IRS on there, you definitely want to make a phone call. So if you see anything IRS, it means that they could have a possible debt that we were not aware of. For instance, they're paying back something. If they're paying back something, then we have to count that as a debt if they haven't paid it off.
What about things like, I've seen them even have divorce decree requirements in
Yep.
there. Like if there's a spouse, if somebody's buying, but they're married, their old spouse is not supposed to be anywhere near it. I've seen kind of conditions like that on here as well.
Right. If you see anything like that, IRS, you definitely want to call the lender, because unfortunately, no matter how much due diligence I can do, I do not know everything about my buyers. And I've had buyers, I've asked the questions, I've looked at their returns. Do you owe anything in the IRS? Do you have any judgments or liens against you? Do you have any alimony support, bankruptcy? I ask them all the same questions. No. And then I find out they owe $10,000 to the IRS and they have a payment plan for $300 a month. They didn't disclose it to me. We found out, because we will find out. Every lender is going to find out. So if you do see an IRS under other or credit and income in this area, I would definitely call your lender and ask if everything's okay. It could be as simple, yep, don't worry about it. We have a payment plan. We count it in their debt to income. But IRS is definitely a red flag. And divorce, a lot of times that's just confirming child support or alimony. If it says anything about divorce decree, we might need a copy of that because the child support agreement they gave me is not up to date. There was a change. I've had many people give me stuff and I'm like, this is not what you told me. Do you have an updated document? No, we never changed it. This is the only one, but he gives me more money or all that stuff. So that might be in there too, but I wouldn't be concerned about that one, Kristen. But if you see IRS.
Yeah, IRS is a scary one. I've only had one deal in my career that stopped dead in its tracks due to child support, and that came through title. So I mean, it's interesting because this is your first thing. I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with the title reports, which we're going to be reviewing tomorrow with the title company.
Right.
Because you guys, you're all talking. There may be things that you're not aware of that are going to definitely affect this commitment.
Yes.
Such as, I had one where there was a municipal tax lien. There was another, like lien. So it's kind of like, and again, that's against the property, not against the borrower, but it comes into play where the borrower can be affected even just simply if it takes a long time to clear something.
Yes. I have that situation now. Unfortunately, we literally had it cleared to close within 2 to 3 weeks. We're way ahead schedule. And then title, tells us that the seller has multiple liens and all that stuff. So not something I would have known.
Yeah.
So then that changed everything and, we're trying to work it out. But I've had a guy who said he had no idea that he had a child support lien. He said, why would it was like $500. It was so tiny. And he's like, why would I ignore that for $500? Why would I incur all these fees? I go, I don't know, sir. I go, but it's been on here a long time, title says. And you must have gotten notified somehow, but unfortunately you can't call people liars, but like, how do you not know after all these years that you owe something. So,
Right. Well,
so,
good
yeah.
news. You can pay it at closing and close, right?
And yeah, a lot of times you can, and that's why it's good to ask the question, because a lot of times these things can be paid. I had many IRS paid off at closing, because by the time they pay it and then prove where it came from and show the bank statement that, you know, that we have to close. So a lot of times the best solution, guys, is pay it at closing. Pay any credit cards off at closing, pay any debts, liens, pay it at closing. We mark it off, the title pays it off. It's beautiful, and it's less paperwork for everyone involved. So if anybody ever, your buyers talk about that, just say, talk to your lender about paying it off at closing.
I have
Here
a
we go.
question.
Sure.
Hi, Maria. So when it comes to multiple liens that the seller has, whose responsibility to pay is that? The seller or now the buyer that's purchasing the property?
Well, we can't get clear title without the sellers taking care of their liens.
Okay,
So
great.
so that's what's happening now. I have a seller who has got multiple liens, and he's got to pay them. He's got to, you cannot give clear title to the buyer unless they're paid off, because title is all about protecting the buyer. So it's
Okay.
absolutely the seller's responsibility to take care of those things.
And you
Thank
can't
you.
you can't give that loan if there's not clear
Mm.
title.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody wants
stuck.
to
I'm
know.
stuck with 2 loans right now because I can't, I got everything done except I don't have clear title.
Mm.
And that's
Okay,
why
thank
you
you.
pay the big bucks to title, because they do a lot of work and they do a lot of searching. I'm talking, I think they said it's 100 years. What do you,
60 years.
60 years.
60 years. Wow.
And they look at the ownership for 60 years. That's crazy. So multiple people own it in that, sometimes in that time frame. So I have one that it is a crap show. It is a seller, and then another, the previous seller had liens. So we don't even know how the current seller got it, because this previous seller had liens. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It wasn't Keystone who did that, who did that, and they're like baffled. But we're trying to get it resolved. So here we are again, typical stuff, statements, again, Chase card, bank statements, additional debt. See how it's asking about this? They're saying that they see these card numbers ending in certain amounts and they want to know about it. Initial CD signs. This is good. This is something that we take care of. This is on here. This is not your concern. I had a couple agents ask me, thinking that this is the buyer's, you know, no, this is our responsibility to get it out, and then the buyers have to sign it. So that just means it has to be signed. It might not have been sent out yet, but it has to be listed as a condition. Does anybody know how long, what's the minimal days that a buyer has to sign his estimated closing disclosure to close on time?
3, isn't it?
3 days. Yep. So if they don't sign an estimated closing disclosure 3 days before closing, they will not be able to close. That's the law. So I'm on top of my buyers. Sign your disclosures, sign your disclosures. I text them. It's sent at this time, sign, sign, sign. So I'm on top of them with that. Let's see here. This says, oh, this is good. Home sale contingency. See how it says CD closing statement on the sale? So we need the sale of this to pay off for the home sale contingency. So this is something, again, not your responsibility, but there's no way to get that CD, of course, until closing. So you guys know, sometimes we have back-to-back closings. They'll close on their house on the day before, buy the new one, or we have one in the morning. You guys have done that, right? Many of you guys had simultaneous. This is a perfect example of something that would be on the commitment until the very end, because obviously we can't get that information until they close.
Well,
Makes
as a listing agent, the last thing we want to see is this not knowing that it was contingent. And that's happened to a couple of agents when they speak to the lender. One of my questions to you when I get an offer is this contingent on the sale of another home? Some pre-approvals will have that in there, that it's not contingent.
Really?
Yes. And then some will not. So a couple of agents in our office, not me personally, but have literally gotten a commitment letter with this home sale contingency on it and were unaware
Wow.
that it was contingent.
Well, that's unethical.
Yes, yes,
Number
it is.
2, like remember when I told you that I asked people to copy me?
Mhm.
So my letters, so I have 2 letters. I have one that comes from the system, and then I have an editable one that's compliant. But if someone really like wants me to have its sale contingency, I'll put it on the letter. Or when I respond to the agent, I do say, this is contingent of them selling their home, because
Mhm.
it's the right thing to do. So
Yes.
shame on them because that's
Yeah.
completely unethical.
Mhm.
So you won't get that from me unless someone's hiding a house that I don't know about.
Right. Unlikely.
Yes. This is a good one.
Yeah, lots of stuff there.
This is not a big deal though. So agent called me, I said, oh my God, there's so many conditions. I said, actually, this is pretty easy. So the buyers are paying off all their debts at closing. They're retiring and they're paying off every one of their credit cards with their proceeds at closing. All this is a current statement to give movement the amount. Even though it looks like a lot, because the buyer's agent did say, oh my gosh, I'm like, nope, this is actually super easy. And they just can't get them yet because they're not available until October 1st. So that's a huge thing there that can be, is going to be done soon. But again, we can't take it off the list until they give it to us. Okay. So that's something not to be alarmed with. So if you can see this, it says expenses to support use of documentation, calculations, blah, blah, blah. Lender to obtain IRS transcripts. So that's one. Kristen, we just talked about that, right?
Yep.
So we're asking for that for a reason. So that's definitely something you might want to call the lender. And then LOX from buyers, signed and dated, they are buying down to less expensive property. So this is an interesting one. I had underwriters, they follow guidelines, but some of them are a little pickier. I have buyers that are moving from Jersey from big home and they're retiring to a cute little home. And I was actually pissed. I called the underwriter, said, why is this a condition? What do we care if they're buying a smaller house? And he's like, well, because of credit and stuff like that. He goes, we just want to know why, why the reason was they want to make sure they weren't buying it as like an investment property and they're going to rent it out, because Pennsylvania is very well known, unfortunately, for fraud, or people are buying houses, they're saying they're going to live in it. So
Mhm.
that's when I found out. I thought it was really interesting. I'm like, they're just retiring, give them a break. They're like, unfortunately, from the house they're going to and the house they're going to now, it's not making sense to us. So all the buyers had to do was, we are simplifying our lives. We want to make a nice, comfortable life for ourselves retired. And that was it. This whole LOX is the best to get, because all it is a letter of explanation. And so that's it. So that doesn't have to be notarized, nothing. It's just an explanation from the buyers. Proof of social security number. That's just asking for a social security card. We've had some things where social security numbers have been wrong or typed in wrong, or I've had a guy who had the wrong name on the same number. So that's nothing to be too alarmed about. And that's it for that one. Any other ones that you guys have seen that you can ask? Because, I've had hundreds of letters, but I don't know if they're going to have the conditions that you guys have seen.
Right. Well, I mean, basically, it's just knowing that we as agents need to have the involvement in looking at these, the same as we really need to have involvement looking at the title reports. And that's the truth, because if there's a way for us to facilitate things happening, and I've done it countless times, both with lenders and with title companies, fixing things or helping fix things or try to get information or simplify it for your client, it's important. We got to know what we're looking at.
It's super important. And, I welcome it, because I just think knowledge is power, and especially new agents who need the guidance. Like, this is great for them to see what is collected and stuff. But it's also, and I hope I can say this respectfully, sometimes I have agents like getting these and then calling the buyers, yelling at them. I'm like, no. This is given to you. That's my job to get on them. Like, I don't want them being badgered by, the agent saying you're not getting your stuff in, because when we got this to you, they could have gotten those things just that morning.
Right.
And it's just, like I always tell people, we stay in our lanes, right? It's always important to be a team, but as a lender, I'm in charge of making sure they're doing their part. I'm in charge of keeping my agents at bay, letting them know everything's going well, but any questions I'm welcome to. But yes, is this important? Like I said, this other part, I would definitely look at. I would say that's the main thing you should be looking at, because that will be like anything maybe that was not possibly disclosed to you, like you said, Kristen, with the
Right.
contingency.
Yeah,
listen-
nobody wants to do your job. We just want to be sure that we're doing ours.
Exactly. Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. Like, I had an agent call me and they yell at their buyer. I said, they're doing fine. Just leave them alone. I got it. And I know they're just trying to help, but these commitments, sometimes literally you could get them in the morning of, I could have gotten half the stuff from the buyer,
Mhm.
but it's not going to be updated every second.
I wanted to ask you, I do get, I don't, and it's not necessarily, with you, but like a lot of people will complain that their lenders keep asking for the same things over and over again.
Yep.
I don't know if you get that, but I know that, obviously you need to get updated statements or whatever. But I always hear, well, I just sent that, why do I have to keep sending that over and over again?
I'll
Is that-
answer that. I'll answer that. So yes, buyers say that a lot, but what they don't realize, Irene, is because I don't get that a lot, but I see my processor going through it, but they're not sending what they're asked. Like they'll just read through the email. We need a signed statement. Okay, great. They send us a screenshot.
Mhm.
We need all pages. They send us the first page. We need your tax returns. They send us one page. They don't listen. And that's when I keep an eye on my processor. When I see people going back and forth, I'm picking up the phone. Hey, listen, you got to read the emails. You got to look at the instructions. She's literally telling you from this date to this date, and we can't have any gaps. Okay. You cannot have any gaps when it comes to bank statements. And that's a big one. People just don't read the emails from my processors. But I guarantee you, I shouldn't say I guarantee you, a lot of lenders do keep making them because they're just unorganized. But I will say with Movement, the first thing I do is making sure I got what I needed, submit a clean loan. And then with the conditions, I'm actually reviewing the email with my buyers, telling them exactly what is needed. So I don't get that a lot, but I think I tend to hold hands a lot more than a lot of lenders because it's a daunting process. And, they don't understand this lingo, all pages, please, URL. Like a lot of the local banks don't have URLs. So my buyers have to go and get every page stamped and initialed, every page, even if it doesn't have, people don't understand that because they don't have URLs like PNC and Wells Fargo. I don't expect people to know that, Irene, but I will tell you that if your buyers are saying that, I would say, well, maybe you should have a conversation with your processor or loan officer. Maybe there's something you're missing. Because I'm telling you right now, a lot of buyers just don't read the instructions and they just assume they know what it is, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't, honestly, I have to say, not to toot your horn over there, but I don't see that with you because between me and you holding their hands, they can't get anything wrong.
No.
I don't really see a lot of people doing that, but when they come in with all these other lenders, they just shove all this stuff in their face and a lot of them send it and they don't really like read what they said and they'll just throw it over to the processor and
It's bad. Like I'm very big.
Mhm.
I toot my own horn. Like I have the top, I have I think a 99% rate of clean files. So we get rated as loan officers when we submit files. So we have to have the pay stubs, the most current everything, all pages. When I tell you I am doing a income workbook for self-employment and I'm putting it in the file. My underwriters love me because they know if they get one from me, it's just clean. And if it's not clean, I'm like, hey, I can give you this, but this is going to be available in 2 days. So please condition for it. To me, doing it from the beginning and setting those expectations and doing it right is a smooth process for everyone, including myself.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't want to go back and forth. I don't have time for that. And it just makes it stressful. And I don't want my buyers being stressed because it's already a daunting process to begin with. But unfortunately, not every lender does the due diligence and they just kind of throw it in there and hope it works. And I just think that's wrong because you have a house and someone's like their house is relying on you, agents are relying on, I take it really seriously. They're relying on you to make sure this goes smoothly. And you'll know, Irene, everybody else knows who works with me. If there's any issue that comes up, I'm immediately going to you and telling you, hey, we have an issue because I'm not going to blindside you a week before closing and saying, we're not cleared to close.
Thank you, Jesus.
It's just the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Treat others the way you want to be treated. If I was an agent, I wouldn't want to be told the day before closing, you're not closing.
Oh,
I've
hell
heard
no.
it before, never had it happen, but it happens a lot. And breaks my heart.
Maria,
Yes.
once we get this, and if there's anything alarming, even the few things you told us to pay attention to, our first call is to you, correct?
Yep. Absolutely. If I'm the lender.
Right. The lender, correct.
The lender. Absolutely. The lender. Don't even call the buyer because the buyer is going to be like, what? Call the lender. Hey, just concerned about a couple things. And then the lender should absolutely. Now, if you're the buyer's agent, they should definitely tell you because you're the buyer's agent. If you're the listing agent, they might not give you detail, but they might be able to reassure you that everything's okay. Make sense?
Got it.
Any other questions? Did we learn something today? Was this beneficial?
Very beneficial, I think, personally.
Yeah,
Agreed.
definitely.
We have never, I have to say, we have never had a lender go through this before. And I think it's really important, and I appreciate your time doing this. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's great. I wish there was more people on here because I know that half our company, more than half our company could use this information.
I think that all the time, Kristen.
Yep.
So many resources and everybody's sitting around.
Sitting
Yeah.
around with their thumb up their butt. I never understood it.
Me neither.
It's funny too, because people are like, oh, I'm so excited about your class. And I'm like, well, where are you? I think too, I do tend to spoil the agents because I do have people saying, hey, I really want to come, but I can't. They know it's recorded, number one. Number two, a lot of times I will be nice enough to get the recording and send it out. But maybe I'm enabling them. I don't know. But I didn't do it for this one. I didn't say, I'll send it out. I just want people to show up. But, you know, they do know it's recorded. So I think maybe that's part of it. I do have to take a screenshot. So everybody smile when I tell you. How do I get out of stop sharing?
I have no idea.
Hold on. You're sharing. Stop share. All right, I need to get people on. There we go. So I have to prove that I did this class. So anyone who's showing their face, smile. All right.
Screenshot the participants, that's all.
Yeah, I'm doing that, but I have to show my face in it too with my movement banner.
Ugh.
There's lots of requirements you guys don't know about what I go through. I have to show that, you know, I did this. Okay, so let me just put this in. So this was commitment class. All right. Any new agents? Anybody have any questions? Did you learn anything? Did anything confuse you before we get off? Nobody?
No,
Zeta,
this was
you have
great.
something?
This was great.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank
Zeta,
you.
did you
Maria.
get something?
Did you get your screenshot?
I did.
Okay.
Zeta, what'd you think? I know you're a new agent.
No, it's very helpful to listen and understand better.
Good, good. Always reach out, guys. I tell people all the time, even if it's not my loan, if you have something and you can't get in touch with a lender, you got a commitment, I'm happy to look at it and do my best to try to ease your mind. But, you know, even if it's not my deal, I'm happy to help. Okay.
In all things, I mean, anybody who's new, I mean, you have so many resources, data, you can go to anybody and they will give you information on any phase of what you're trying to do. So just don't be shy. I think that's one of the biggest things that new agents do is they're like, well, I don't want to bother you. Well, how do you know if you're bothering me if you don't call me? That's my philosophy on it. So
Listen, I came from a divorce. I started my whole life over at daycare out of my home for 15 years and I get into sales. I didn't even know anything about mortgages. And if it wasn't for people helping me and literally holding my hand, I would not be where I am. And one thing I love about this, I've been in many offices and this is truly an office that welcomes to help you, does not make you feel, you have Cassie as a coach, you have David, and but like I constantly see new agents. I think it's wonderful. And that's the only way you're going to learn is to ask and don't be afraid to ask. And the best lessons are when you don't know and then you're going to, you know, you ask. Don't be afraid. And I'm here for anything you guys need on the mortgage end. Okay.
I can
Thank
confirm
you.
that.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Melissa, did you say something?
No, I was gonna say I can confirm that because I work out of 2 KW office, one in New Jersey and one here, and it's like night and
Night and
day.
day. I worked at the Morristown Keller Williams
Oh.
and for 8 years. And it's just, you know, nothing against them. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a very different, it's a very much a family here. And I love it here. That's why I'm here all the time now.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Reach out if you need me.